Hi everybody, and I couldn't not do some kind of Brian Wilson video. I'm sure there are lots of these around at the moment for obvious reasons. And yeah, Brian Wilson, one of the all-time greats, certainly one of my favourite songwriters. And I've not actually looked at any Beach Boys or Brian Wilson stuff previously on this channel. I don't think. I know I've mentioned them in passing. I suppose that's because the Beach Boys are not primarily about guitars, and I don't know how many of their songs would actually make for satisfying guitar lessons. But what I've done today is come up with my own instrumental guitar arrangement of a Beach Boys classic. That's the track In My Room. So let me begin by playing through my arrangement. Then I'm going to break everything down and discuss what's going on. As usual, when I do these kind of arrangements, I have crammed quite a lot of techniques and ideas in there, so there's going to be a lot to discuss. If you'd like tab for my arrangement, that's of course going to be up on the Patreon page along with my backing track. But let's get started. So this song was originally recorded in 1963, so quite an early Beach Boys tune, but already I think starting to show signs of the harmonic and melodic sophistication that you hear in later Beach Boys material. And I always find it quite fun and challenging to put together these little instrumental arrangements. And I suppose my main consideration here is just being respectful to the tune and really not messing it up. I mean, it's one of the most beautiful tunes ever, so I don't want to mess it up by overplaying or getting too fancy with things. And personally, I don't like arrangements or cover versions where you take too many liberties with the tune and change the melody or reharmonize things too much. For me, that doesn't really work. So what I've tried to do here is just state the melody in a very simple way. I mean, yes, as the arrangement develops, I have thrown in some extra fills and change things a little bit with the melody here and there. Let's get down to business properly then with a look at the introduction. And we're in the key of B major here, although there is some quite interesting stuff happening harmonically in this tune. It doesn't just stick diatonically to the key of B major, so I'll be getting into that a little bit later on. But to start with, we're just outlining this simple 4-chord progression, and it's a 1-6-2-5 progression in the key of B major. And I suppose this is almost a kind of cliche chord progression that you hear in 50s rock and roll and doo-wop, and this is really where the Beach Boys came from, this kind of musical culture, and you can hear that in a lot of these early Beach Boys tunes. Although the interesting thing with this track is once you've heard this chord progression, you never actually hear it again in the rest of the tune. And all I'm doing here is just arpeggiating the chord shape, so starting on the 1 chord on the B major. So this is just a 5th string root bar chord, and I'm starting on the root note on the 5th string going up, and then coming down again. In terms of the rhythm of this tune, it's kind of a 12/8 feel, so you've got 4 beats, but each beat is divided into 3, so you're kind of feeling it as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and again a typical kind of doo-wop or rock and roll thing. So I'm doing that on the 1 chord. Now, I would tend to pick that down, 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 up, up, up. So down picking as I'm ascending through the arpeggio and then reversing the direction of the pick on the way down. Then we're going to the 6th chord, which is a G sharp minor, or I'm playing a G sharp minor 7 here. And the cool thing going from the 1 to the 6 is you can really just change the bass note and you've got the new chord. So all I'm doing is just lifting up my 1st finger, putting it down at the 4th fret on the low E string. The other notes are staying the same, and you've got the G sharp minor 7. So that's our 6th chord, and then I'm going to the 2 chord. This is C sharp minor 7, so the root note there at the 4th fret on the 5th string, and then I've got 6, 4 and 5, and then we've got the 5 chord, which is going to be F sharp major, maybe F sharp 7. And what I chose to do in my arrangement was this. So I'm playing my 5 chord up here, so frets 9, 8, 9 and 7, this kind of C form 7th chord, and to get there I'm just got a pair of double stop 6, so sliding up to here and then into the 5 chord. So that's my introduction. Almost forgot I have got a little fill in there as well. That's just coming out of the 6th chord here, and it's just a kind of little soul or R&B style fill. And if you've got you're thinking in terms of this minor 7 chord shape, I like to think about the notes I've got available around chord shapes to produce fills. So around this minor 7 chord shape, you've got the minor pentatonic scale. This is the G sharp minor pentatonic scale, and from that scale you can just build these little kind of Hendrixy fills. So that's what I'm doing on this particular chord. So that's my introduction, and I'm beginning here just by stating the melody in a very simple way, and I'm following quite closely the vocal harmonies that you can hear during the first verse of this tune. So to start with, it's just one voice. I think Brian Wilson starts singing first, and then he's joined by Carl or Dennis. So then there's a 2-part harmony, and then another voice comes in, and it's a 3-part harmony. So that's exactly what I'm doing here on the guitar. So starting off just with the single note. So starting on the root note here, 4th fret on the 3rd string. And then I'm adding a harmony note on the 2nd string. I've just got these little thirds shapes, and then I want 3-part harmony, so I'm actually going here. So I'm going to a full B major triad now, so I'm playing it up in the 7th position, so frets 9, 8 and 7. And then I'm moving this triad shape around to fit the melody, so I'm going from a B up to this little shape here. So this is frets 11, 9 and 9. So it's a C sharp minor triad. I think at this point in the harmony there's actually an A bass note, so it's giving you kind of an A major 7 sound at this point in the tune. So I'm playing that shape, and and then coming down to an A triad, and then sliding back to the B triad. So that's the opening part of the melody. I suppose it's just worth talking about the overall harmony that we've got here. So for the first part of that, we're just on the one chord for quite a long time on that. Da, 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 and then we're going down to an A chord. So that's quite interesting. We've got the flat 7 chord. I think the bass is going. It's got an F sharp as well, so it's kind of an A and then perhaps hinting at an F sharp minor 7 as well. So we're stepping slightly outside the key of B major here, and it's got that kind of Mixolydian flavour at this point in the tune. If you've seen my video on the Mixolydian mode, this is something that I talk about. One of the surefire signifiers of that Mixolydian sound is when you've got a major chord 2 frets below the 1 chord. It's the flat 7 major chord, and that straight away sets up that kind of Mixolydian sound. It's a slightly kind of melancholy sound, I think, which perfectly kind of fits the mood of this and the lyric of this particular tune. So it goes to the A chord, and that's where we're kind of outlining these kind of A chord sounds. And then we're going back to B again. Then we're into the second half of the first verse, and we've got this bit that so that's what I'm doing, and really just outlining the melody and the harmony, mostly using triad shapes or double stops. And the actual chords that I'm playing over at this point, we're starting on B, then we're going to G sharp minor or G sharp minor 7 in my room, C sharp minor, A, F sharp or F sharp 7 in my room, B, A and B. So once again we've got this A major chord in there, the flat 7 chord. So we've got this mixture of B Mixolydian and chords that are diatonic to the key of B major. And I'm just playing triad shapes to start with. So B, another triad shape here. This is a C sharp minor triad, so 2, 1 and 2. And then I'm doing this. So just changing the middle note of that triad shape. So starting off with C sharp minor, and then if you move this G sharp up to an A, you've got like an A chord shape here, and then move that note up one more time, and you've got an F sharp 7 sound. So that's a really smooth sound. These 2 notes here are in common between all of those chords, C sharp minor, A, and then F sharp 7. So just changing that middle note. Refingering. The way I'm fingering this, I've got 2, 1 and 3. I'm shuffling up my first finger, and then I'm refingering to play that 7th chord shape. And in terms of my right hand technique with this tune, it's a combination of just using the pick. Sometimes I'm using pick and fingers as well, so particularly on these triad shapes I might use a hybrid picking approach. So my pick is playing the lowest note, and then middle and ring fingers playing the higher notes in these triad shapes. And then we've got this bit. So the melody is that, and when I'm coming up with these arrangements, I want the melody, and then if you want some notes underneath that melody, you just have to look at the overall harmony of the tune at this point. So here, these 2 notes are played over that 5 chord, so I want those notes to be on top of a 5 chord sound. So one way of doing that, if you've got your F sharp major triad, I can just use my pinky to add in the melody to that triad shape. So I've got frets 4, 3, and 5, and then the melody descends. Then I want a B, that's my melody note, and we're back on the 1 chord here, so I want the B, and then I want a B major sound underneath that. Generally you're going to want the melody to be the highest note, so if that's my highest note, I can play this F sharp here and this D sharp here. It's another triad shape, it's a B major triad, so already I'm using loads of triad shapes in this tune. It's something I'm always talking about in my videos. Triads are just so useful, but particularly in these kind of situations where you need to really know the fretboard. You have to be able to find stuff that works when you're putting together this kind of arrangement. So you just need to be able to see that note, and then straight away underneath it you can see the triad shape. That's a B major in the first inversion, but it's got the correct melody note on top. And then just to round off the verse, I've got this. Just some double stop thirds played on the 4th and 5th strings. And I'm trying to develop things here just a little bit. I'm still keeping the melody nice and clear though. So at the start of the second verse, this is what I play. So some more double stops. This time we've got some 6th shapes. So starting off with this is all played on the 5th and 3rd string. So frets 6 and 4 to start with, and then just moving up to frets 7 and 6. So once again the melody is on top, and I'm harmonizing that with a note a 6th below. You can articulate those notes in various different ways. You can play those notes at the same time. And just with the pick, if you're playing with the pick, you'll just need to make sure that the 4th string is muted. Just lean into it with perhaps your 3rd finger or your 1st finger. Or you can play it with hybrid picking. Or you could just separate those notes a little bit and go from low to high. And then I'm doing the same thing, just taking it higher. And then this is our B triad once again. More double stops. This is a bit more unusual. I'm playing these, I guess these are kind of 7th shapes here. This is over the A chord, so I've got it's an A and a G sharp, and then coming down to an F sharp and an E. And then I've got this, this is more of a development of the melody, or a little fill. So just thinking around chord shapes here, it's more of this kind of soul R&B language. So around this B chord, something I'm always talking about in my videos is just having chord shapes associated with other stuff, so scales, arpeggio. So around that B major I've just got this kind of major pentatonic language available. Coming down here, this is more major pentatonic stuff. Hitting this C sharp, that's the melody note that I want. Then I've got this kind of major to the 7th sound, so I've just got 5th fret to the 6th fret on the low E string. So nice kind of twangy sound there, and then I think I just did this. So single notes here, a little bend. Then I think I just did this. So ending with a little scale run, and I suppose this is a B Mixolydian scale really. And I've got a little bit of a droning open 2nd string as well. And some harmonics at the end of this verse, why not? We've got 12th fret on the B string and 7th fret on the B string. Moving on to the bridge then, I'm just going to outline the basic chords and then I'll go through the actual part that I played. So the bridge is starting on the G sharp minor chord, so it's the sixth chord. It kind of moves to the relative minor key a little bit for the bridge, I think. So going down to F sharp, and then this bit. So moving more quickly between the G sharp minor and the F sharp. Back to B. It goes round again. And the second time, it kind of moves to the 2 chord, or the 2 minor 7 chord. F sharp 7, back to the 1 again. So it's a 2-5, setting up a return to the 1 chord for the last verse. And I'm beginning by just stating the melody very simply. So just playing the melody on the lower strings here. I'm sometimes throwing in a note on the low E string as a kind of low harmony, so more of these six shapes. So, or you could kind of think of them as triads as well. So frets 7, 6 and 6, this is a G sharp minor triad in the first inversion. If you kind of hollow out that triad and skip the note on the 5th string, you've got these 6 shapes. So, and then coming down, a little slide there. Then I'm playing this. So we've got some octaves here, starting off on the G sharp, playing these notes on the 4th and 2nd strings. The most important thing when you're playing octaves is just keeping them clean by muting any of the strings that you don't want. So here in particular you want to mute the 3rd string just by leaning into it with the 1st finger, and also keeping the top string muted, and that way you get a nice clean sound. Coming over onto the 5th and 3rd strings. Next I'm playing this. So here I am, taking a little bit of liberty with the melody, and I'm playing at the 13th and 15th frets on the 3rd string, but I'm holding down this B note at the 12th fret on the 2nd string, getting that nice minor 2nd dissonance, which is something that I like using a lot. So that's played over the minor chord, and this is played over the F sharp major. Got the 11th fret and 13 on the B, and then this. So C sharp minor 7. I'm wrapping my thumb around the top of the neck to play the root note, and then I've got the 9th fret, just a bar with my 1st finger. Playing the melody there on the 3rd string. This is the 2-5, and for the 2 chord I'm playing a C sharp minor 11. So frets 9, 9, 9, and then I've got this F sharp note here, the 7th fret on the B, going to the 5 chord. And we're into the last verse, and I'm taking the melody up into the higher octave. So just some simple 6 shapes here, starting frets 8 and 7. I'm thinking about the underlying harmony, the underlying chord shape here. You can see that double stop 6th is part of that B major bar chord, and you've got the triad here. If you take out the middle note of the triad, you're just left with the D sharp and the B. That's our 6th shape. And just moving these 6ths around to play the melody. Then I'm doing this. So more triads, but this time I'm playing some spread triads, which is quite a nice thing to try and do. So this is the first shape. So it's a B major triad, but I've got frets 13 on the 4th string, 12 on the B, and 14 on the top string. So it's a D sharp, it's a B, and it's an F sharp. So it's B major, but we've got a spread triad, meaning that the notes are spread out over more than one octave, and this is in the first inversion because we've got the D sharp as the lowest note. So we've got this. Then this is a nice beautiful sound. This is an A major 7, so A major triad, I've got the 7th on top. Then I'm back to this spread triad shape, to start with down 2 frets and then sliding up 2 frets. So we've got you want to think about the way that you approach this with your picking hand. So I'm starting off with hybrid picking, strumming this shape, and then going back to hybrid picking for this spread triad. Next I've got this. So in my room, that bit, and I'm just thinking G sharp minor 7, but I'm adding the melody note on top with my pinky. So then more triads, C sharp minor triad to an A. So this is just a partial F sharp 7th chord. So frets 8, 9 and 7. And then the last little phrase. I've just got a little country-ish bend here. So I've got a D sharp and an F sharp. And I'm bending up the note on the 3rd string just to hit the melody note that I need. And resolving to the root. And then for the outro, I'm just playing some little licks or fills. So starting with this, just some 6, taking a similar idea up an octave. And then I've just got just some little melodic ideas, more of this minor 2nd stuff that I like. And something similar, I can't remember exactly what I did. I think it was that. So really just coming down the scale there, that Mixolydian mode. And ending on our root note down at the 2nd fret on the 5th string. So that's my arrangement, that's what I'm playing, and that's really the thought process that's behind what I'm playing, which is possibly the more important thing here. I mean, by all means, if you like the arrangement, you can learn it note for note, but you might want to come up with your own ideas, change things here and there, or maybe you don't want to learn the arrangement, you can just take some of those ideas and repurpose them and use them elsewhere in your playing. Now, the gear that I'm using for this video, I went with my Jazzmaster today. This is just a reissue Jazzmaster. I think it's based on a 65 Jazzmaster. I got this about 10 years or more ago, so it's not one of the current models, but yeah, it's quite a nice guitar. I think I was on the, I can't remember what pickup I was on. I think I was on the neck pickup for my playthrough at the start. I might be wrong, but that's quite often what I do on a Jazzmaster. It's got a nice kind of warm tone, but it's still got a little bit of bite as well. And I was using a little bit of the vibrato arm as well. People have remarked before that my Jazzmaster has got this slightly annoying kind of swingy vibrato. I know there is supposed to be a fix for that. I did try putting tape around it to stop it moving around, but that didn't really last for long. So for now it's just kind of swinging around and making that annoying squeaky sound, but maybe one day I'll get that fixed. And amp wise, I'm going into my Fender Princeton. I've got one pedal which is my MXR booster pedal, which is just kind of acting as a, I guess, a kind of preamp pedal. It just seems to do, I don't know what it's doing exactly, but it does seem to do something nice for the tone. But really with something like this, it's a very basic clean sound, and most of the tone is just going to be in your fingers, and I hope that's something that came through in my performance. I was trying to play quite dynamically, so when you've got a clean sound and when you've got an opportunity to do it where it's quite a sparse backing track, you can get away with playing very softly and then occasionally digging in and playing with a bit more intensity, and it's not something that a lot of players do. It's not something that I do enough, mainly because if you're playing with distortion, if you're playing in over a noisy band, then you can't really play more quietly, or you just won't be able to hear yourself. You won't be able to cut through the mix. So you can't play like this in all situations, but certainly in this kind of ballad situation where the guitar is the highlight and you've got quite a sparse backing track, then it's a really good opportunity to try and add a bit more dynamic to your playing. And I should also mention that I've got some reverb which is coming from the amp, and also a little bit of tremolo which is also coming straight from the Princeton. So it sounds like this. I'm going to start off just playing the Jazzmaster straight into the Princeton with no effects. And then if I turn on the boost and the tremolo, well, that's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. As I mentioned earlier, tab and backing track will be available on the Patreon page, alongside what is now quite a huge archive of previous tabs and backing tracks. So check that out if you're interested. Should I look at another Beach Boys track on this channel? Maybe I can look at the guitar parts from a specific Beach Boys song, or maybe do another of these kind of guitar arrangements. If you've got any ideas or suggestions, do let me know. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you again soon.